God tests our faith to make our faith stronger. Why does God test us? God allows you to be tested by temptation, not to prove your faith is weak, but to make your faith strong. God does not want to prove your faith is weak. He wants to make your faith strong. There's a different kind of testing that happens. Like for instance, I took an AP history test that was very different than a Vo2 Max test that I took later in life. So let me tell you about the AP history test. I was 14 years old, walking into advanced placement history, and our first test ever, the teacher warned us, make sure you study hard. I showed up to take the test, and as I looked at the first question, it was not what I expected. I was used to events and dates being on a history test. This was different. This was a test that was really about the purpose behind these things. And so, I got a little anxious and I'm trying to get through the test. And at the end, when I turned it in, I just knew I bombed it. You ever turn in a test and you just know there's no way you're getting a good grade on that baby? Yeah, I knew it. And sure enough, I came back in the next day and the teacher is handing out the tests. And he hands me my test and I got 14%. 14%. I'm an advanced place student, so I'm used to getting A's on every test I take. And I look around and everybody in the class has the same look on their face. Everybody bombed the test. The teacher wanted us to fail. He wanted to send a message. Fear me. Make sure you work hard in my class. You're not just gonna skate by here. You need to work and you need to fear me. And it worked. We feared him and we worked really hard. But that might work in a history class. It doesn't work in a relationship with a divine God who loves you and wants the best for you. Too often, we think that the tests that God gives us are like those AP history tests that you're meant to fail. But I think it's a lot more like this Vo2 Max test that I took. So I was just starting to train for an Ironman triathlon. I needed to go 140.6 miles, and I had never done anything like that before. So I was training, and I wasn't sure if I was training correctly. So a friend of mine said, oh, you should really take a Vo2 Max test. And I was like, what's that? And he said, well, what happens is you get hooked up to a heart monitor and an oxygen meter, and you start running on a treadmill. And they'll monitor your heart rate and your lungs to see what fitness level you're at. And I was like, great. So I show up, I schedule the test, I show up, and they hook me up to heart monitor, to the oxygen mask, and I get on the treadmill, and I start running. And the crew around me is like, okay, doing good, we're monitoring everything, and now we're gonna get started. That was your warm-up. And then all of a sudden, the treadmill starts speeding up, and the incline starts to get more and more steep. And I'm keeping up with the treadmill, and it keeps going faster and steeper, faster and steeper, faster and steeper, until my feet couldn't go as fast as the floor beneath me. So I grabbed the handrails, I jumped off, because it was either that or faceplant on the treadmill, didn't want that. And the place erupted with applause. And everybody on the crew was like, you did such a great job, way to stay in it, you did great. But I just failed. I couldn't keep up. I failed the test. And the test is designed to be failed. And for those of you that work out, whether it's strength training or endurance, you know the term, go tell failure. And that's a good thing in training. Because what the Vo2 Max test tells you is it tells you where you're strong, and then it also gives you a measure of where you're weak. And so then you can put together a training plan to reach your fullest potential. And that's the way that God tests us. Yes, He may reveal weaknesses in the areas that you fail, but He's always showing you where He is going to develop you and make you stronger. You're not meant to be perfect, but Jesus and the Holy Spirit is working to perfect you. It's a journey of sanctification. And so when God tests us, it's meant to build you up and make you stronger.